Hello? Sound check. One, two, one, two. Alright, let's go.
Welcome to The Good Life with David, where we talk about the goodness of life without turning a blind eye to the things that make it less good. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, and if you have not yet done so, please follow this podcast wherever you're listening. But this is only available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Enjoy today's episode.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
That is a line from one of my favorite movies, Coach Carter, a line from Timo Cruz. Since then, I finally have a word to name what I feel all the time. I always felt inadequate, not sufficient enough to be good at something, or not equipped to be anything at all. I always thought that this is just another case of self pity. But while it may be partly true, it isn't just self pity. It was an elaborate feeling I always get when I try to do something that, despite looking confident about it, deep down, I never felt that I am adequate. Just like with the podcast, but more on that later on. On September 30, I started in Taskas as a customer service representative, and I felt elated. It was the company I wanted to work for, and it was my first real job. And it is a remarkable experience, to say the least. However, time and time again, I felt inadequate throughout the training. Fast forward a couple of days after, I was endorsed to operation, meaning I am finally finished with the training. Despite the feeling of inadequacy, I felt proud of myself. I enjoyed taking calls and I loved doing it. But at the back of my mind, I knew that it was only a matter of time before I would flunk down and fail. That was a constant thought throughout every calls. And I felt like I was not doing the right thing and I was not providing the help that I should give. But despite that, my scores were okay. And after a month of taking phone calls, I get the chance to be promoted, thank God. And I didn't want to accept it at first because I know that I lack the experience and knowledge for it. But I figured I might not be able to have the same opportunity knocking on my door in the in the near future. So I went overboard and took it. Never have I ever felt this inadequate, and I'm very sorry. Will be saying that same word over and over again for this whole podcast. Anyway, I don't have enough experience and knowledge for it. How am I supposed to help others? And this same scenario has been going on for years already. And never once did I love the feeling. I just thought that I wouldn't want to just go with the feeling and do nothing about it. As I took the promotion, I promised myself to make sure that I will be deserving to keep it. And I don't want to live with the feeling of inadequacy, so I figured that I should do something about it. And here is what I'm currently doing. But first, this is from my personal experiences. So there's no guarantee that this would work for you, but you can try. Anyway, what I do first is being nice to myself. This feeling of inadequacy is everything but nice. It's exhausting, it's draining. Now I am trying to make sure that I'll be a little bit nicer to myself. I mean, being harsh would not be of any help. If the world would be against me or what I do, I should be my own comrade. And whenever I feel inadequate, I tell myself that it is okay and it would be better soon. And for years, I've been too harsh to myself, and I think it's just right to be nicer by now. Second, I am allowing myself to be a beginner. Most times, I get the feeling of inadequacy, and when I do something big or important, I mean, like my new job, I don't feel that I am good enough or knowledgeable enough to do it. I put so much pressure on myself, and it's scarily awful. But what I learned recently is that being nice to yourself also translates to allowing yourself to be a beginner. I mean, as they say it, no one starts off being excellent. I envy you if you do. But you have to learn the basics. You have to adapt. You must learn like a child, regardless of your status in life, your past experiences, or your accolades. Whenever you feel inadequate, I think you should allow yourself to be a beginner again. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that leads to the last one: be your own teacher. Right now, I work as a subject matter expert on a probationary period, and other agents would ask us questions and guidance for some concerns. And this term scares me a lot. Expert does not suit me yet, I guess. So I do what any other agent would do. I immerse myself with our knowledge base and I call it Project Expert. Anyway, but this is what I'm currently doing. The objective of this is to make sure that I become an expert on our product or on our account. Also, to remove any confusion on my end whenever a teammate asks me anything, because if I don't give them a definite answer, it defeats the purpose of my position. And I have to teach myself because it conquers the feeling of inadequacy. Let's just say that I grew tired of feeling small and dumb, and I want to be alleviated from the draining position. And if there's no one to teach you something, be your own teacher. But do I still feel inadequate? Yes, all the time. But now I am somehow able to convince myself that going with it would not solve the problem. So I am at least feeling better now with my action, with what I'm currently doing. And just like doing the podcast, I've been delaying this for years already. And one thing that is stopping me is I don't feel and think that I am a good fit for it. But again, I will not be good if I don't start doing it. And again, no one starts off being excellent. And even with the other podcast hosts that I listen to, they would mention that they didn't start off their podcast great at the beginning. They worked their way through it. So I think it would be the same for me, hopefully. I would not know if you feel the same, but if you do, please be nicer to yourself. You are where you are right now because you deserve it. And when the feeling of inadequacy bothers your soul, give yourself a tap on the shoulder and whisper, "You are doing good." Because you are really good. You're doing great, actually. And if no one is telling you that, I am here to shout it to you. You are doing great. I haven't gathered enough experiences in this life yet to give any advice to other people. But with what I currently know now, I am aware that it would help at least a single soul. So please pass it forward. Let me know your thoughts. You can send me a message through anchor.fm / the good life with David. Well, that is it for me for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the things we talked about today. Again, this is the good life with David. And I hope you have an abundance of everything good. God bless you. Until next time.